What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square. We're chasing cinema.
This is James Hsu.
.com, and we are here for Annihilation.
Annihilation. Which is funny that we say it like that because now, for some reason, whenever time I type Annihilation, it comes in all caps. I don't know why. Anyway, Alex Garland, the man who brought us Ex-Machina.
I enjoyed that
2015,
movie.
which I really enjoyed too. I don't think it ended up making my top 10, but it was like definitely top 15 of that year, which I believe again was 2015. Really, really great.
The first time
fiction.
I saw Poe Dameron.
Really? That was your first
so.
Oscar? Yeah.
I think so.
Oscar Isaac? Maybe there was something else, but I can't. Oh, yeah, maybe. No, but I mean, Alicia Vikander's really great in that movie. I mean, that's a really strong movie. Domhnall Gleeson's in that movie really good. Everyone is quite good in that movie. And I think that his style was quite creepy. It's definitely a quiet movie. It's a movie that makes you sit and think about a lot of things. It's definitely a movie that makes you really look at what's going on and kind of just has you sit there. So I'm expecting something similar for Annihilation. The only thing that kind of bums me out is that, of course, it's so early in the year, and the fact that pretty much, I think you told me this, everywhere besides locally, meaning domestically,
in Canada,
it's sold all to Netflix. Correct?
Yes, it's like direct to Netflix. Direct to Netflix,
So,
which is strange to me.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But you know, thinking of his style with Ex-Machina, maybe that'll be a good market. I don't know how much it'll do money-wise, but I'm curious to see. Anyway, what did you think of Annihilation?
Well, you know, we just spoke for the past 10 minutes, and the movie definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
I think that's going to be the case.
It definitely wasn't that. The ending was just like you told me actually when I was going in, the last 20 minutes would be wild, and it's wild. Natalie Portman was beautiful and awesome, like she always is, but overall, the movie, I don't even know what to say, to be honest with you. It was just like crazy. I don't know, man.
But was it a good crazy, or like did you feel like
good.
You had a good experience?
I would recommend it with caution.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I would recommend it with caution in the sense of if someone's like me, a movie lover or a film lover, watch it. Yeah, it's definitely art, and the visuals are definitely nuts.
Yeah, really.
The entire film, I was intense. I was tense the whole time. The whole time I was like this, or I was like this, or I was just like, I was in this movie. Yeah. There's this crocodile scene that was just like, whoa. Then there's this bear / sloth thing scene that was like, whoa. Yeah. And then the ending when. I can't even spoil it because I don't even know what I saw, but there's this
Maybe
ending
we'll talk a little bit about spoilers.
Where there's like this mirror scene, kinda. I'll say it like that. There's a mirror scene that I didn't like. It was very disturbing almost to look at because it freaked me out. It's like, what is this thing gonna do? And then you see what happens, and then it was great to see though Natalie Portman, of course, our Thor's wifey. It was great to see Doctor Strange's partner in crime. Yeah, Wong. And it was great to see a Star Wars alum or new alum, Poe Dameron.
And I think last week we were prepping for this movie. Me not seeing a trailer from it or anything, but we were prepping it like I think we were just watching it like a shoot 'em up sci-fi, and it's really not like that. I would say if you saw Arrival and you thought that was too slow for you, like this is a little bit more of a challenging cerebral movie than Arrival. I think it's a little bit more of a challenging cerebral movie than
I liked Arrival better.
Let's say Ex-Machina. I would say I liked Arrival better too, but I think this is I don't want to put the two in the category, but we immediately both connected to it that it is sort of the mother of this sci-fi franchise, where it is a really cerebral, visceral movie that really kind of makes you just sit and ponders at like the incredibly beautiful yet terrifying and just strange and out there world that you're in. You know, I have a true
beautiful
phobia.
World too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like it's crazy because I think the movie is so perfectly, visually at least, like an analogy of what the movie is, because it just kind of keeps pulling you in, like you are in the shimmer, and you just keep getting entranced by this beauty, and then like the more and more you're in there, the more and more scary things get. But it's so weird because like it's not like when we say scary and you know you're talking about the creature, those are some pretty haunting scenes, but it's like so different feeling than what you would expect on like your typical alien movie. And And while this is, I would say supernatural or extraterrestrial, it's a really different kind of alien movie, and like what we're approaching, what we're dealing with. We never really kind of see exactly what it is or what it ends, where it's coming from, and I think that makes it even more interesting. It's a very vague movie. I think that's leaving you to kind of sit there and ponder and think about things. But I will say, I don't know if I've seen a movie that made my skin crawl this bad in a really long time. I was telling Mr. Hsu this earlier. First time in a long time that I actually had like a nightmare about a movie.
I'm glad.
It definitely like stuck with me, and I can't get it out of my head. And I mean, I really enjoyed the movie, and as much as I say that in a negative connotation, because like all the weird and anxiety aspects of this movie stuck with me, and I couldn't even get it out of my head while I slept. So I mean, I think it definitely leaves an impact, to say the least. Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, Jennifer Jason Leigh, all really good performances. Oscar Isaac is really good.
Another Thor.
Yeah, Thor reference, yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh, though, I thought was really, really good. You know, she was someone you kind of just looked with your eyebrow up the entire time, and you were kind of suspicious of, and she ends up having a really, really interesting role in everything. But yeah, Natalie Portman, of course, I've always been a big fan of. I think she's really good in this movie. I think Alex Garland further proves that he is going to be a great storyteller when it comes to science fiction. I'd love to see him elevate to different genres, but I think he really knows how to make people sit and soak in some really challenging images. Yeah, I mean, it's heavy. It's a slow burn for sure, but I think, like Hsu said, I mean, I think from the first minute or so, it's incredibly tense, and some really daunting things happen that you're just like, wait, what? And like the more you learn, and the idea of the shimmer alone, I think is terrifying, if that was a real thing. But also, I think there is also this really interesting thing about it where, at some point in the movie, it becomes attractive, and it becomes like this interesting thing where you want to explore more, and I think it becomes even more of, some could say, like a solution, and I think that's an interesting way to look at the movie. But you want to get into spoilers, or do you have anything else to say? Okay, so we're gonna get into spoilers here. Now, I don't know if we're actually gonna spoil anything, because I think it's safe to admit that I don't think anyone could really. I mean, I'm sure there are much smarter people out there who might think that they have it all figured out, but I think Alex Garland left this pretty wild, so that there's a lot of interpretation.
So I got a question. What was the point of them showing us that Natalie Portman had a husband cheated on her husband, Poe Dameron? What was the point of that part?
Well, I think what
do we get out of that?
Well, I think it wants you to kind of know her emotional state. Like, she is someone who has gone through this thing, and she has kind of, while missed her husband in the past much, has been emotionally detached from him.
And he found out that she cheated?
I don't think he found out. I know there's that part where he says so, but I think she just said that more because she didn't want him there, and I think that I think it just further shows how kind of a complex character that Natalie Portman is, and that she's going through all these different emotions.
So she had that affair prior to him going on this thing?
I think this was while he was gone. Not to the point where, like, they thought he was dead, but I think...
So why did, when he say...
Does he know?
Does he know?
Okay, maybe he thought he told her, or maybe it was prior. But I think, because that's pretty vague too. Like, that's a very, like throughout these really intense moments in The Shimmer, there are always like these flashbacks, but I think they're kind of prevalent just to kind of have you a better understanding of who she is and what she's going through, and like what's going through her mind as she's going through The Shimmer. It seems like one of the things The Shimmer does is kind of pull out all your fears and your anxieties and things like that, and I think that coming to the forefront, maybe the guilt she was feeling, and kind of how she treated her husband, who went through this really horrible thing for the betterment of mankind, and obviously try to figure out what this is, that she felt guilty for it. Maybe. I mean, that's my interpretation. Of course, I'd love to hear other people's interpretation of this, but I think that's more just to kind of talk about her feelings towards her husband, how she felt in a certain particular way, and like she wasn't always like the perfect wife who was there all the time. She has her flaws too.
Did you like the fact that they start the movie off where she's already back, and then we already know right off the bat X amount of people died, and then if you have a good memory, you knew exactly which ones died.
I did like that, because I don't think it's in a way where it's going to spoil things, because every time something happened, I was surprised. Like I knew what was happening, and granted, I didn't have enough memory to memorize everyone's names, who was going to die, or who she said dies, or I don't know, which was a response I think for most of them. But like, I was just so intrigued in what was going on in the moment that it almost like kind of sneaks up on you again. You're like, oh my god, wait a minute, she talked about this and this happens, and then when it happened, you're just like, oh my god, like it doesn't matter if she would have told me exactly what happened, it would have still shocked me visually. Like that alligator sequence, like you said. Awesome. I mean, the creature that eventually kills Gina Rodriguez, I think is like unbelievable. I mean,
it's gonna give Ken nightmares.
I think so. I mean, it is this beast,
which I'm also glad.
That instead of growling, and because we're in this world of genetic mutation and the fact that cells are connecting to other cells and species are interlocking with other species, which is pretty much the whole premise of the movie, that it actually latched onto a piece of someone that she ate. So she was this creature was screaming as she was being killed by this creature, and so when the creature opened its mouth, instead of a roar or a growl, it heard her screams. And you know, these characters are tied up, and like it's such a slow scene, and it just makes you sit there.
And
the screams are uncomfortable, and it's just like, oh my god, like please something happen. And it just really worked on all these emotions. It makes you uncomfortable, it makes your skin crawl, and like not only literally does that happen in this movie, but I think and there's just some really crazy imagery. Like I think in the first 25 minutes or so, they stumble upon this pool area in this building, and there's this really interesting looking portal, if you will. It has like half of a body that's all stretched. I mean, things just look really crazy in this movie, and they're very disturbing. And I have no problem saying that. I mean, it is disturbing, so this isn't an easy walk in the park. But I think it's also so intriguing too at the same time, because you have that contrast, then you have these beautiful, this beautiful. All these nature that you see going on with all these different plants and species and things like that. I would love to bring like a science person with me to help me break some stuff down, because there are some questions I have about how like genes and all that works, and if that would like necessarily have to do with one. But I think it's a movie, like I said, that's meant for just like you kind of sucking everything up. And then of course the ending, which I think is like filmed almost like a dance, rather than a fight sequence, when she is like dealing with this replicant and they're just kind of walking around each other. I don't even know if replicant's the right word, that's more of a Blade Runner term, but this creature, this thing that was trying to mirror her. Yeah, this alien, or this cell form that was forming right before our eyes, and just the way that they danced around each other, and like you aren't sure if it's trying to kill her or trying to.
It's creepy.
It is so creepy. And there's that really great scene where she's trying to get out the door, and then it just like latches on her, and it looks like she's like suffocating, but you can tell blood's running down her head, but like they just have this really intimate moment, and you're just staring at Natalie Portman, like her eyes getting bigger and bigger for what seems like forever. And I was just like, oh my god, what is happening right now? And yeah, like I said, the last 15-20 minutes just get really wild, and like I couldn't tell you what necessarily happened plot-wise, but I was digging it. Yeah, I was digging it. I know in the book, spoiler for the book, she doesn't come out of the book in the first book. She never gets back until the second book. And when I heard after the second book, everything, I heard that's where a lot of criticism came in. But the idea is that she never comes back. So this movie obviously already takes a huge step forward.
Oh, in the book she comes back in part 2 and ends
in part 2.
The second book.
In most of the part 2. Well, this one has to do with like environment issues and things like that. The second book, for what I was told, she comes back and it has to do with more about the base and more about like government and control and things like, and bureaucracy and things like that. So it's taking on a completely different world. So I just like the idea that there is this place and that's slowly taking us over, and is it making it for the better? Is it trying to create these new beautiful species that's going to live and kind of take over the earth and evolve, or is it this really horrible crushing thing that wants to destroy humanity? I mean, I think the ending part with Natalie Portman, the interview, is really important, where Wong from Doctor Strange is asking all these questions, and like, well, when he says something along the lines of like, oh, well, are you happy that it killed it, or he killed it? And she goes, I didn't kill it. Like, it's not trying to kill anything. It's not trying to hurt anything. And Natalie Portman, who obviously is somewhat changing, if you will, because she sees that through her blood, is just like, no, like, I don't think you get it. And I think there's this idea of Natalie Portman defending it because she has this better understanding coming out of it. And I'm curious to see. I don't know. I would think you would never return to this storyline, and I think this doesn't get a sequel just because I don't think.
No.
And plus, I just don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to financially.
Yeah. Cool. Well, of course, but like, even if it did, like, I don't think it's a story you want to continue because.
No, I mean, if it did $600 million, they're going to make another one. But yeah, I agree with you though.
Yeah.
It's wild,
bro.
It's
a trip. It's really a trippy movie. Yeah, it's just full of like some wild imagery and some pretty uncomfortable things. A lot of uncomfortable things.
Love it.
Yeah, I loved it too.
Oh, I didn't mean I loved the movie.
No, I know. But you did like it, though.
I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself. Yeah.
I think it's a good change.
It's a one-time watch, though. It's not something I'm going to watch again. I can't see it.
See,
I don't think.
I'm intrigued that we're watching it again. I don't know if it'll hold me as tight as it did this the first time. But I will say this: like out of seeing some of these comedies or seeing these action thrillers that we've seen the last couple weeks,
Wakanda.
Yeah, well, Black Panther was amazing, but I will say this was the most unique experience. Like I felt this theater. Like it really shook me from having fun and smiling or laughing. I mean, this brought me to a really dark place, and I was digging it.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of horror films that we go to, all three of us, a lot of times it's more of just like, you know, what is that called again?
Scare.
Yeah.
Like pop out scares and you know and even that, like they definitely try to balance you out with comedy. Where this movie is like not smiling, it's not joking.
City.
There is no really for a place for you to laugh, and it is just really tense. Exactly, I think tense. Like it's tension to the max. So I'm all about it. We also reviewed Game Night, a complete opposite movie. Check out that. And next week Red Sparrow.
And also
J-Law.
Bruce Willis in
Death Wish.
Death Wish.
Is that next week already?
Thought it was.
Yeah, I believe that's the 8th. I don't know if next week is the 8th or not.
Oh no, it's not.
No, it's the 2nd.
'Cause,
which is Red Sparrow. I don't know about Death Wish is the following week though.
I've heard Red Sparrow though is just like Jennifer Lawrence just went nuts.
I'm hoping Red Sparrow was good. I don't know really much about it besides what I've seen.
Russian killer.
Yeah.
That's probably all you need to know.
I know I'm a fan of some J-Law.
J-Law, man.
Even though she's in some controversy right now, but we'll put that aside and we'll hopefully enjoy the movie.
Death Wish next week.
Also?
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, he's right. Death Wish and Red Sparrow.
You ready?
You ever seen the original Death Wish? No, probably not. It's too early.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson.
Back in the day.
He's the man.
Yeah, well, Bruce Willis and Death Wish. I hope it's fun.
I'm ready.
So, but I will say I am probably going to be more looking forward to Red Sparrow. So,
ChasingCinema.com. For those of us that do not know,
is a film lover's website.